Hey everybody, Garcia here, and today I'm taking a look at a roll and write game called Penny Papers Adventures, The Temple of Apikhabou. This game is categorized as the simplest in this series of 3 roll and write games. So we're going to be taking a look at that one. I'll be doing reviews for the other 2 as well. Check those out. But in this one, you are going to be, just like in the other ones, rolling dice, writing in numbers and symbols onto your sheet, avoiding the mummies while trying to score the most victory points. And there's a couple of things that are going to give you victory points. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to give you a very simple, basic overview of it. Then we'll come on back up here. I'll tell you what I think of this one, and I'll tell you where it sort of lands for me in comparison to the other 2. To start the game, each player is going to be given one of these sheets, and you can choose either side. They are slightly different, the 2 sides. Everyone's using the same side. You've got the 3 dice. You are ready to go. And you are going to then, every round of the game, have someone roll all 3 dice, and the players are going to use the dice to start making notes in here. So, the idea is the way we are going to score, which is when all of these spaces are taken, not counting the doors, which may or may not be filled, you are going to get a victory point for your longest run of sequential numbers, and adjacency in this game can be diagonally as well. You are going to get 3 victory points if you have a group of 3 or more of the same number that again are adjacent, and you'll be scoring 3 points for each of those, never repeating the same faces. So say 444, that gets you 3 points. But then another 444 over here, that won't give you 3 points again. Has to be different numbers. And then you are either going to gain or lose victory points based on the mummies that you've got, and if you've eliminated them or not, of course. That's your total. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and roll the three dice here, and you are going to get either numbers or special faces. 1 die has the mummy, 1 die has penny papers here, and 1 die has the key. So let's say on my first roll, I get this. I can choose any spot I want to, not a door, and I can write a 1, a 3, a 5, a 4, an 8, or a 9 in that spot. So any one combination I want from all 3 dice. And everybody can do this anywhere they want to. However, if I roll a special number, or a special face rather, if I roll the key, then I can put a number in one of the places that has a door, and I must do that. And in this case, I could do in any of the doors a 1, a 5, or a 6. If I roll penny papers, then I can write any number I want to, between 1 and 15. And if the key came up with that roll as well, then I may do so in one of the door spaces. And if I have the mummy come up, then you are ignoring the other 2 dice, no matter what they are. You take your sheet of paper, you throw it in the center of the table, you take someone else's, and you put in a mummy in any one of the empty spots still on the sheet there. And then you give back the papers. So, let's try this again. So this is what I roll. I'm going to go ahead and put in this door right here a 7. Once everyone has done something, we go ahead and roll again. This is what I got with this roll, so I'm going to go ahead and put over here a 9. Everybody does this again. I'm going to try to, again, get groups together or sequences of numbers. So I got a 7 here if I want it. So I'll go ahead and take that 7, and I'm going to put it right there as well. We roll it again. Okay, well, there's another 7 if I want that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put a 7 here. This guarantees me a sequence of 3 together, so that'll already get me 3 points there. Do this again. Let's see here. I'm going to put an 8, and I'm going to put that 8 right over here. And I'm going to start trying to build a sequence of numbers with 7, 8, etc., etc. This continues. I got a key there, so I can put a 1, a 3, or a 4 in one of the doors. I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 right there. Again, when the mummy comes up, I would take this, put it in the middle, and someone would put a mummy in there somewhere. So let's say someone puts a mummy right here. Like so. You draw in a little mummy. It looks more like a little monkey than a mummy, but you get the idea. There we go. That's a little better. And the mummy is going to lose you 2 victory points unless by the end of the game it's next to a 9. And if it is next to a 9, then you gain 2 victory points instead of losing the 2 victory points. So for example, let's take a look here at a sheet that has been done. And in this case, this is a solitaire version of this which I played, which the only difference being when you roll the mummy, you must put that mummy next to whatever you just previously wrote. So in this case, let's say I did this 4, and then on my next roll, I get a mummy. I have to put it somewhere adjacent to that 4 that is still blank, all right? And my score was 9 victory points over here for a sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I did 2 sets of 3, so I had 6, 6, 6 here, and I had 4, 4, 4. That got me 6 points. And then I gained some victory points for the ones I eliminated. So I had bad mummies, meaning not eliminated. 1, 2, 3, and then I eliminated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, giving me a net of 4 positive points. That came out to 19. Everybody's going to do that. Then you figure out what your final score is, and the highest score at the end of the game, of course, is that's the winner of the game. So that's it. That's all there is to it. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. All right, so there it is. Let's talk about it. We're going to start with thematic ties, as the theme original is well implemented. I think it's okay. I would say of the 3 games, though, this is the one with the weakest theme implementation. I think the other 2, the thematic ties, are a little bit more interesting, a little bit more solid. This one, I'm not sure why I'm doing the things I'm doing. And it's really just, the theme is just sort of like really pasted on. The other 2, you can kind of find your way to why, that theme makes sense. So I'm glad it's there. I like the theme in and of itself. I just don't think it's particularly well pasted on. The aesthetics, component quality, congruent artwork, things like that. I think all 3 of these games look very nice, and this one certainly is no exception to that. And I like the iconography in it. I like the dice in it. Everything does look good. You don't get any pencils in this, but it's not really a big deal. Replayability, does the game scale well? Or are there new things to discover from game to game? That sort of thing. As far as the scale, the games really all, I would say, kind of scale the same. They say on the box for all 3 that they play 1 through 100 players. That's true. You do get 100 sheets, and it doesn't really matter how many people you play with, except for the switching the papers between all of the players in order to give you the bad thing. Each of the 3 games has a bad thing. In this one, it is that mummy. So I don't have a problem with the scalability of it, the number of players you play with. But I do have a problem with the action of throwing the sheet into the center and shuffling them up and then taking one, writing a thing, giving it back. That slows down the game unnecessarily, I think. That's true for all 3 of these, by the way. Game length. Interesting the whole time. Is it repetitive? Anything like that? I would say of all 3 of the games, this is, well, for one thing, this is the one that they list as the shortest of the 3. I guess that's probably right, but the difference in time is largely negligible. And I would say that this is because of that length of time, this is probably the least repetitive and the easiest to sort of grasp and get into. So I don't have a problem with the game length here. Ease of play, is it fiddly? Are there any rules which are extraneous or annoying, anything like that? This is an easy one to teach. It's, again, the easiest one of the 3 according to the publisher. And I would say that the only part that's fiddly is the part that's fiddly for all 3 of them, which is the mummies. Having to, pass the sheets in and all of that. I much prefer the solitaire way of playing in which you do your own. And I might even be tempted to use that rule to play multiplayer. I know you don't get to, mess with the other players. You don't get to pick on them, but it is simply faster and streamlined. I think I enjoy that more. Every time, halfway through the game or after that, once the mummy comes up, everybody sort of goes, and groans and throws it in, and everybody does it. And this is the one that suffers from that the least, let me mention. I'll talk about that in the other reviews. Lastly, tactics and strategies. Are too lucky as it balances. Are there interesting choices in this one? I would say because this is the most open-ended one, because it is the lightest, the simplest, the quickest to play, the issues with luck are not as pronounced. The game is equally lucky as the others, but it's a shorter game, it's a punchier game, you are going to be able to knock out a couple of these in really just 20, 30 minutes tops, so I'm not as troubled by the swinginess of the dice, by the bad face coming up, by the fact that you are doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over until the sheets are filled. So I feel at least sort of concerned about those issues in this one of the 3 roll and write games. So overall, while this is the simplest, the shortest, it would seem to be the least interesting, it is actually my favorite one. I like the open-ended nature of it, where you can write the numbers wherever you want to, so it's not as punishing, but it's also a little bit more, it is more forgiving, but it's a little bit more interesting, I think, the things you can do. On the flip side of that, the scoring in this one is probably the least interesting of the 3. You only score from a couple of things. They're very simple, obvious things, really. I guess you score from 3 things. But this is my favorite one. I think it's the most approachable. I think if I was going to teach someone a roll and write game, and I chose to do one of the ones from this series here, I would more likely than not pick this one here. That's not to say I adore the game. I just think it's an okay game. It's ultimately a little too derivative of many other roll and write games out there. I don't like the negative interaction in it, out of all 3, in fact. And the look and the concept, the theme, only carries it so far for me. So, while I would not say pass on all 3 of these games, or on this one, I would say if you are only getting one, I would probably get this one. I think it's the best one of the 3. And if this look appeals to you and you are really in the market for a roll and write game, you maybe have a bunch of other roll and write games, then I think this is a nice one. It's a cute filler. And the production quality of it is very well done. So there you go. That is Penny Papers Adventures, The Temple of Apikhabou. I would recommend it, again, if it's something that you can tell from the overview and from what I'm saying that is kind of up your alley. So there you go. Thanks for checking this out. Go check out the reviews of the other 2 of these if you are so inclined. And I'm going to see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.